Okay, good morning. We're going to call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Nicholas County Commission to order. Today is Wednesday, April 17th, 2024, and it is 9:03 a.m. The clerk is checking to see if anyone has signed up for public comment. We do not have anyone for public comment. Is there anyone that meant to and did not sign up? Okay, that being said, we'll go to our motions, please.
Motion to review and waive the reading of the April 3rd, 2024 minutes.
That motion is on the floor. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, the motion does carry.
Upon review of the exonerations as presented by the Nicholas County Assessor, move to approve accordingly.
That motion is on the floor. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those against, the motion does carry.
Upon review of the estate and fiduciary matters as presented by the Nicholas County Clerk, move to approve accordingly unless otherwise noted.
That motion is on the floor. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry.
Upon submission of budget revisions received from the elected officials and department heads, the Commission will take appropriate action as deemed necessary.
That motion is on the floor. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those against, the motion does carry.
Upon review of the invoices as submitted by the various departmental offices, the Commission will take the appropriate action as deemed necessary.
That motion is on the floor. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion doesn't carry. Concerning our terms of office expiring for today's meeting, up first we have from the Nicholas County Board of Health, accept resignation of Linda Hayes with term of office expiring June 30th of 2025. And we did receive that in writing, so all the boxes are checked to consider that accepting of that resignation.
Motion to accept.
That motion's on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry. The staff went ahead and put on to fill the unexpired term of office of Linda Hayes, term of office expiring June 30th, 2025. With the recent action taken in this vacancy, and to my understanding there's been another vacancy that we were not aware about, I would request this be tabled until further investigation happens.
Motion.
That motion is on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Any other motions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry. Birch River Public Service District, T.G. Griffith, term of office expiring May 24th, 2024 for a 6-year term. I reached out to see if Mr. Griffith was interested in continuing to service on the board. I haven't heard back.
Let's table that.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to table.
Okay. Motion on the floor is to table that appointment to the next meeting. Any other, any discussion or any other motions? I can't get it out this morning. That being said, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, the motion does carry. We'll table that.
Is your plan on the health department appointment to table for today, later on in this doc, or to a later date?
A later date.
At some point, I think you should have an executive, my recommendation would be to have an executive session on that issue.
To discuss it.
Warren's not here.
Shoot, they're here to represent Warren.
Yep.
Is that right?
We're here to present for the NIC.
Yeah.
We're not here as the NIC.
Okay. Okay. We're a couple minutes ready. Do you have anybody else
Do
coming?
you want to do that since it's on the agenda, since they're here?
Yes.
to talk to us?
It is on the agenda.
Let's do them for this part, then we'll go into executive session at the end.
Okay. So that being said, in place of Lauren Weatherford, representing the Nicholas County Intervention Coalition Program concerning youth prevention survey results, we have with us, if you'll state both your names for the record.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Anita Stewart. I am the health officer at the Nicholas County Health Department, but today I'm representing the Nicholas Intervention Coalition as the intervention chair and a member of the executive committee.
And my name is Kim Major. I am administrator of the Nicholas County Health Department, and I'm here today representing the Nicholas Intervention Coalition as the Prevention Chair and Executive Committee member.
Okay, and so what would you like to share with us this morning?
So we conducted a student behavior survey partnered with the Nicholas County Board of Education. We have done a student behavioral survey, which is in here, every 2 years. And so we wanted to take the opportunity today to present some of the data that we have collected.
We also have this on slides here for you guys, but we also have a PowerPoint. I don't know if you guys want us to share that now or at a later date. Or we go through the conversation of the slides.
Our technology's not that great,
Okay.
just to be honest with you. I don't know if we can handle much more.
Probably just overflow today, overview,
Perfect.
and then we will sit down sometime and go through the time.
Are you okay with listening? So I will just say, we're here representing the Nicholas Intervention Coalition. This coalition is a group of people that work in our community that represent different entities to help reduce substance use as well as high-risk behaviors and delay the onset of use in youth, as well as to make our community safer and healthier, which I think is the goal of course, the County Commission, and certainly our goals as well. So we do follow the Strategic Prevention Framework, which is where we collect data, evaluate that data, look at what the capacity is in our community, plan how we use that data and what those interventions are, and then implement those programs, and then subsequently reevaluate those implementation, those programs that we implemented. So today our role is to present that data to you that we have. Your role is to, of course, take that data, run it through your mind, think about it, ruminate over it, and then work with us to help create environmental strategies, potentially policy change, to help create a healthier community for our the people who live in Nicholas County.
So I'm happy to go over just a brief overview of the data. So I'm just going to kind of skim through a little bit, but it's in your packet.
Like halfway through.
Yeah, halfway through its data. So we focused for this presentation, the survey is very extensive. We focused today on substance use and mental health issues. Those were two that we thought were important to share. I think it's on page 16 for you all. This data was from the fall of 2022. Yes. Yep.
Look right here, bold red.
Big red.
That's all right, I'm patient.
Yeah. We need little tabs to know where to go.
There you go.
Okay. So this is based on data that we collected in the fall of 2022. Of the students that were surveyed, 15% of those students indicated using illicit drugs.
What age group?
This was for we surveyed 7th, 9th, and 11th graders. So out of those 3 grades, 15% of students admitted to illicit drug use in the past year. 12% of 9th graders reported drug use, and 24% reported drug use in 11th grade. So we can see those percentages increase quite a bit from 9th to 11th grade.
What would your guesstimate be of the accuracy? So if it's 24% you got, is it really 40? Is it really? Do you have a factor in there for that?
So we do. We know that are in, so we need to have at least 80% of our students surveyed to have a high reliability, and we need to make sure we're also capturing students that are virtual, students that that we can't get to school with some of our higher risk kids. So I would estimate that number is actually probably underreported. We also know that students underreport behavior. And so some of the studies show that it's usually 30% higher than what's actually reported.
Mm. And this is both high schools, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. The next slide is the most common drugs used by students in Nicholas County. This data was based on the fall of 2022, and it probably comes to no surprise that e-cigarettes is 14%, and when I say e-cigarettes, that also includes vape. They just use e-cigarettes as the verbiage to be all-encompassing of those things. 12% alcohol, 8% marijuana, and 7% cigarettes. So where are students using drugs? In Nicholas County, the majority of students use drugs at home. Conversely, school is the least common location for drug use. When students were asked if their school set clear rules on using drugs at school, 75.8% of students responded often or a lot. So this is a positive measure. The data shows that students are aware of the rules at schools and most likely the consequences. I'm going to skip over the Friends disapproval and go to the next one, where students are using drugs. This percentages of the students that said yes, they are using drugs. Of those students that said they're using drugs, 83% say that they're using drugs on the weekends, with 47 after school. So based on this data, we can see a connection that students are using at home and on the weekends. So we didn't have a chance to talk about risk and protective factors, but we know that when youth are engaged in activities, whether it be in school or in the community, that they're less likely to make risky decisions and risky behavior. So this shows that our students need to be engaged outside of school as well. And I'll skip over the next one and go to suicide prevention. Suicide prevention is the third leading cause of death of youth between the ages of 10 and 24. 27.9% of students reported having thoughts of suicide, and this is based on the fall of 2022 data. I should preface that beforehand. In our survey in 2020, 5% of surveyed teens reported thinking about suicide, often or a lot. And our data in 2023, that has risen to 7.9%. Of the high school students polled, around 15% reported an attempted suicide that resulted in injury that needed to be treated by a healthcare professional. So why these increases are concerning, we know that mental health issues are on the rise, not just here in our state of West Virginia, but across the nation. So I just wanted to point out that data. There's quite a lot, but if you have any questions, you can certainly come back another time or share additional data. Leave you with that if you have any other questions. But we're hoping with this data, I presented at the Board of Education last night, and they're going to partner with the NIC again for a student behavior survey in the fall of 2024.
And this is this a handout that you're saying this is totally anonymous? No one's ever gonna. It's for the numbers, and you know, I would have never taken one of these because I would have thought you're gonna set me up. You know, so is it? You can't obviously do it on the phone because you can track that. But do the students feel comfortable that this is an anonymous? We just need to get data type of thing.
The survey is done electronically. It's pushed out. The Board of Ed pushes it out on the students' iPads, so they take it in class. They're told, they know that it's anonymous. How they feel about it, I'm not sure. I could only make assumptions. But I think, you know, from the numbers that we had, I think we had about 406 students participate in the fall of 2022. We hope to increase those numbers, but I think the majority of students are I think students want their voice to be heard. This gives them an opportunity to tell us what issues they're having, what areas they may be struggling in.
And when I look back at the, like, you got the high school students, 15% reported attempted suicide. I don't know how, I can't always say things nicely, but how much of that is a cry for help and how much of it was a real true attempt?
Well, I know in 2023, I just got data for Nicholas County, and we had 9 attempted overdoses by students between 7 and 17 in Nicholas County in the year 2023. That's very concerning.
And that data comes not from them, but from healthcare.
I got it from BMI, from Medicaid, CMS.
That's based on treatment records, I'm assuming.
In the ED. So they pulled our ED data, looked at that code, the ICD-10 code, and found that.
So what is this survey, what's the cost? Annual survey-ish?
It's around $5,000.
Very reasonable. Very.
And we have,
I will also say that it would be helpful to have support for translation of that data, because it is all volunteers, like Kim and I and other organizations that are trying to translate the data. We are certainly not epidemiologists and not statisticians about, the survey company that we use does help to validate some of that data, but it is helpful to have support for data translation and then data dissemination. We hired a marketing company this year to help do that. So the survey itself is between 5,000 and 7,000, and then the other pieces, I think we spent like 10,000 for marketing and then our time.
And do you have input on, so we could actually have questions that ask the level of trust that the students have? We could ask, customize with some questions like that.
we have, it costs a little extra,
Right.
but you can have up to 15 additional questions.
And do they release their controls and their biases, and what percentage they think that, like Greg had asked, what percentage they think that maybe the students are underreporting? Do they have things like that to release, or is it just, here's the data that you
This
requested?
is the data.
Mhm.
All right.
What do you think the difference is? I mean, would you say it's 30%? So that, we really factor that in?
Well, that's what nationally, like if they do statistical analysis of this same type of activity, that's what the average is.
Yeah, because I have to log into a device to take a survey.
Right?
You're monitoring me,
Yeah.
whether you are or not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the young mind.
What about focus groups inside the schools? Like, let's say out of these 400, and they don't know who did. You could always say, "Did you take the survey?" and get, but have actually open forum of focus groups.
Yeah,
Could
I
we
think-
learn a lot that way?
I think that's a great idea. I think it's another way to collect information. We talked a lot about being able to collect objective data, so which is what this is. That would allow for more subjective, storytelling, which I think would be really helpful. I know we've done some of that, like with the Teen Court program at Sparrows and the Learning Center, but I think having random groups together and asking these questions would be a good strategy.
Thank you guys for your help. Any other questions from you?
I don't have any.
Can I ask one?
It's a good comprehensive report.
The kids who are using drugs and alcohol, what treatment services are available in the county for them?
So we have, I just talked to Seneca yesterday, they have same day or next day appointments available. There's also counseling services at the schools that have, Ridgewood High School and middle school, as well as Summersville Middle and High School have school-based health centers. Both of those have behavioral health services available. I think things are a little tighter at the schools for, as far as the accessibility and the availability of those services. That would be an area that we could supplement and enhance, I think.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And from a question from the Nick standpoint is, so the street talk is there's denial to Ridgewood High School, middle school. Is that true?
There's what?
Denial to access. In other words, when you have preventative specialists that go out, they're denying access at the school levels. Are you seeing a variation in what you can get into, which schools you can get into, which ones you cannot?
I'm not aware of that.
I've not heard that.
Okay. Does it come from one of y'all's folks?
Like at the health department or at the NIC?
Nick. So there's denial of Ridgewood High School, middle school. Just trying to vet that information.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's not
As
something
of
that
last
I've
year,
seen.
that was not the case. I don't know, because I was in a different role last year, and I
Understood.
worked very closely
From,
with
from the
Liz.
principal, or from the
I don't know
administration?
where that come from. I mean, where the denial come from.
Yeah.
I
It's
will
being
say that
stated.
Seneca did just hire a youth crisis worker. Her name is Susan Odell, and she has already been in touch with those schools. So I know that she has made the contact.
That's why, like we stated last time, as a parent, you know, that's something that needs to be in the school. I think that's what Mr. Tucker's faith was hitting on as well. Because, you know, you got to have an action plan and put it into action. Like I say, a partnership. It's a thing across multiple organizations. Just, as a parent, I don't see it.
That should ought to be a priority.
It's, yeah.
Well, and I think that's what one of your roles here is to say, yeah, this needs to be a priority. How do we work together to do that? And whether that's, you know, supporting the NIC, you know, voicing these things. You guys have a lot of influence in the county as far as what happens here. Saying those things, to hear, you know, from legal, like, this is a big priority for us. I mean, we can say it all day long from a public health perspective, but if you have multiple organizations talking and speaking the same language, changing the culture, that's what's going to shift this.
Sure. And everybody ought to be on the same team.
Yeah.
There should be no necessity of that.
Speaking of that, the NIC is offering it's called Mental Health Matters, Ending Stigma, and it is specifically for community leaders and stakeholders here to learn about what the data is. We're going to be fully presenting the data. We're going to be talking about first-person language, destigmatizing behavioral health, because even though we might have same-day appointments, we are not utilizing those. So if we know that, you know, 3/4 of our county has depression, but we only, you know, we have appointments open at our behavioral health providers, why?
There's a disconnect.
There's a huge disconnect. And part of that's transportation, but a lot of it is stigma.
Well, and transportation for any of this, in this county,
Of course.
an issue.
Yeah.
So
So,
you did last night at the board meeting.
Yes,
Did you get a good reception?
yes.
I think is what I'm thinking is we probably need to put with us and put our people and the board put their people that are actually the boots on the ground together in a meeting to discuss all this. We can bring the meetings together, but you know, we're only a certain part because we're kind of at this level, and maybe we need to do that and put together a true boots on the ground type of meeting of who's going
yeah.
to do it.
And I think that you guys have a certain role. I mean, you guys would be the policy, I mean, in environmental strategies. That's your role. That's where your niche is in this whole puzzle. We all have different pieces in the puzzle.
We can bring the people to the table.
Okay.
Well, I mean, this is the first step. You acquire the data. If you don't do anything with the data, then the data is pointless. So you have to take it to the next level, to the next step.
Thank you. I'll leave those flyers there and then some of the leaflets as well. I hope to see you guys on the 9th of May.
Okay. Thank you. Is that when that is?
Yeah, May 9th,
Okay.
9 to 12, Summersville Convention Center, free lunch.
That'll practice it.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's free. It's all free.
Okay. I want to make a motion that we go into executive session pursuant to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4. If we could have the room, everybody but legal counsel, us, and
Okay, that motion's on the floor. Is there any further consideration? Hearing none, it is 9:27 a.m. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry. We do stand in executive session and do ask everyone to leave the room, please. Okay, do we have a motion to exit executive session pursuant to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4? For the record, no decisions were made during that time of executive session, and it is now 10:09 a.m.
I'll make that motion.
That motion is on the floor. Is there any further discussion, questions, or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? The motion does carry. We do stand out of executive session. We apologize for taking a little longer than we intended to. We're going to redo the agenda here just a little bit, but beginning out, we still do have probation officer Aaron Evans regarding teen court. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. I'm going to stand over here if that's okay.
Okay.
So I wanted to give you guys an update on Teen Court and the Sparrows program. Teen Court is still thriving and doing wonderful. Every time we have a hearing, the jury box is full. We're probably averaging close to 20 kids every Teen Court, and we're hearing cases from the overabundance of the vapes and the Zens, which is the smokeless tobacco, the little pouches. It's spitless, so kids like to hide it, but they keep getting caught with it, so they come to us. We also see an influx of THC, alcohol at schools, and some trespassing, some shoplifting. So we're actually seeing some cases that are staying out of the traditional court system and the traditional magistrate system, and they're going through an informal process through Teen Court, and they're continuing to do community service and receive counseling through Sparrows. Sparrows program is still happening down at the DRC, and it is doing fine. We're still thankful for a grant that was given through the Nicholas County Board of Education. They're feeding the kids every evening, and then after they feed them, we do different things every day. We're either doing community service where the kids are working off their the sanctions from Teen Court, which if they have 40 hours of community service, they're out picking up trash, or they're helping clean the courthouse, or the DRC. A lot of times they'll go to the grade school, weather permitting. I mean, I know weather has always been an issue here recently, but they've been going to Summersville grade school, shoveling the gravel and cleaning, trying to clean up there. We've gone to Indian Rocks, we've gone to Richwood, we've gone to various other places, just working and giving back to the community. So it's been a great program. We're also seeing, we're helping kids with getting their grades up. Part of the problem is a lot of kids, they get into a bind, their grades slip, and they don't care, and that's a road of trouble. So we're working on getting their grades built back up. We're working on counseling sessions, tobacco cessation, through Catch My Breath. It's a program that teaches them about the dangers of tobacco use and how to get off of it. Drug cessation, impulse control, anger management. A lot of same classes they give to the participants down at the DRC, the Day Reporting Center, my juveniles are getting. So it's growing and it's doing wonderful, to the point we've seen a problem. We need another coordinator. I need to hire another coordinator to assist with that and set up a second Sparrows Academy location. And I have had permission from Richwood High School to use their facility for an after-school Sparrows program, and I want to hire a coordinator for that program. The money will come from the Teen Court Fund, which we do have sufficient funds through the Teen Court Fund in order to hire another coordinator. One of the problems that we have with the school is we have kids that go to Richwood High School, Richwood Middle School, that get caught with something. They have to go to Teen Court. They have to leave school early, about halfway in their final period of the day, catch the bus to come to Summersville, and catch the bus to the Sparrows program, to the DRC. If I can hire another coordinator, and that's what I'm essentially here today to ask for permission to hire a second coordinator. If I can hire a second coordinator, then we can eliminate the kids getting out of class early and missing part of their school day. We can just set up shop right there at Richwood High School or Richwood Middle School with somebody over. I would prefer a teacher, but we're just going to open it up the same way we did with the current coordinator, and see if we can hire somebody over there to do the same program over here, but in a secondary satellite location.
Do you have room? Do you have facilities?
I have the I have permission to use the school in the evening after all the other kids leave.
So you mentioned that. Oh, go ahead. I apologize.
Craigsville.
Yes, sir.
And would your intent be that when the school relocates, that program follow?
Yes, sir.
Location?
Absolutely. The ultimate goal in the end would be to set up a separate account so I can start looking for grants to get additional funding so we can get a completely independent facility. That's still down the road, and as you know, that takes time and takes effort.
And what's your agenda through the summertime when the schools are break?
I would like to set up an additional, a continuum with the program, but the last 2 summers, it did not work at all, so we just shut the program down for the schools and there wasn't any transportation.
Gotcha. Understand.
You had mentioned that the funds are available through the teen court program. Where does that funding originate from?
So the teen court funds is, I cannot remember the code site, but I think it's chapter 49. The teen court funds goes through every $5 of every citation given in Nicholas County goes to the teen court fund.
Okay.
So whether it's the city of Summersville, whether it's Richwood, or whether it's Nicholas County Sheriff's Office, or even state police, $5 of every ticket through the magistrate or the city goes into a teen court fund. So we do have sufficient funds.
Yeah.
Where do your violations come from? Do they start out at school usually, or just on the street? Or
It depends. I've had mostly law enforcement, but the law for teen court actually said that administrators at the school can do referrals to teen court as well. So I get most of my referrals from law enforcement, about 90% of them, and that is from the pro officers at the schools who will catch a kid at school doing something ignorant or foolish, and they'll do a referral to me. But I've also had law enforcement. An example would be a recent shoplifting case that happened where state police did a referral, actually went forward with a criminal charge through magistrate, and it was up to the prosecutor, the defense attorney, and the magistrate, and of course the parents of the juvenile, to do the referral to teen court to refrain from going forward with the criminal case.
And your coordinator you have now, is that BJ?
Yes, it is. BJ Donato is the current coordinator.
It's 2 or 3 hours a day, 5 days a week.
4 days.
4 days a week.
But between
Monday through Thursday.
4 and 6.
Now, when you have your teen court, you have that upstairs.
Yes, sir.
Is that closed or is that open to the public?
It has been open to the public. We just ask that you sign a confidentiality agreement that you just refrain from spreading the gossip.
It's a neat process.
Yeah. We went that way.
Okay, I'm for it.
Yeah. Anything else?
I make a motion, we allow Aaron to jump through whatever proper hoops there is to hire from your teen court funds.
Definitely appreciate everything you guys are doing.
That motion's on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Questions from legal counsel?
Yeah.
Anything from the clerk? No. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry.
What do you, I
Thank
should
you.
ask that. What, repeat offenders, how, do you have a percentage of that? Do you have the same people all the time?
No, we don't. Our recidivism rate is, and
We're gonna jump ahead.
spending close to 15 years in law enforcement, I feel that I can speak on this. Our recidivism rate is the lowest I have ever seen. We usually have first-time offenders only. Every now and then you get a knucklehead who just doesn't learn from their mistakes, but the majority of the offenders we have are first-time offenders. And I see very, very little recidivism.
Do you think it's fear? Do you think the parents get involved in straight, like when I was a kid, I'd have just got beat. There wouldn't have been a teen court.
One thing I've had to learn is how to speak the teenager language. And the worst thing you can do to a teenager is take away their free time. And I'm taking away their free time in the evening hours, and I'm making the parents come and pick them up in the evenings. And they don't mind to go out and to do the work whenever they're pushed. Kids don't have a drive or the know-how to do it on their own. But whenever they're told to do something, they do a good job.
I feel like they get a sense of accomplishment.
Do you feel
But
like
they,
That probably goes a long ways.
but at the same time, I'm taking away their evening and I'm making their life inconvenient, and they hate that.
you say the number one issue in the largest category would be vapes?
Oh yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
18 out of 23 at the end of last year.
Oh,
in the
I-
ALC was vapes.
Absolutely, it's been between the vapes and the THC pens. That's the majority of what we have.
Hey, Aaron, what percentage of the infractions get referred to teen court as opposed to go through the juvenile petition process?
It has to do with the severity of the charge. Just about every single vape, nicotine, tobacco, shoplifting, minor misdemeanors, even traffic offenses.
Well, you mentioned THC a minute ago.
That'll be the vape pens, the THC. All of those goes through teen court.
Do you believe there's adequate treatment for the offenders that you have versus, in the whole process? At least in the county?
Adequate treatments. I'm always going to say we need more. We don't have adequate, but we have enough to get us by right now.
Well, the health department was here earlier, well, it wasn't the health department, but they said that they have next day appointments available. Is that?
So I work with the NIC. I'm a part of the
Sure.
NIC as well. So we do a lot of referrals. We actually have several members from Seneca who come to Sparrows, and they will set up classes themselves. Either myself, BJ Donato, or one of the other staff from the DRC. They'll come and they'll help with classes. But we do have specialists from Seneca who come down and they start working with these kids.
If they flunk your process is it an automatic juvenile petition?
No and yes. They fail out of
Lawyer
teen court. I work with lawyers all the time.
Sounds like it.
But if it's a vape, I'm gonna say if it's a simple tobacco, they fail out of teen court and they have to be and that they're kicked out of Sparrows, then it goes back to the charging officer, the referring officer, and he has to write a citation. But there's only a limited amount of offenses that can be given a citation to a juvenile.
Sure.
Drug offenses, they have to go, or theft. I believe theft is another one. They have to have a juvenile petition done. So. Step 1 is teen court. Step 2 is either a citation or a juvenile petition.
And then the judge has the option to refer it back to teen court.
Yes.
And does that happen quite often?
Usually by the time it gets to the judge's desk and the judge has already seen that they've failed through teen court, then we go forward with the juvenile petition. And again, I get them back on my caseload as probation.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
You all do a good job.
Yes.
Thank
Very
you.
good job.
You guys are invited tomorrow night, 4 o'clock. That's
4
teen
o'clock.
court.
Thank
You're
you.
invited too tomorrow.
Thanks.
And now we're here, we're gonna jump the courthouse data program system. We're gonna put it at the end and skip the break. So now we're going here with Brandy Brown from the county clerk's office. And this is
Have we met?
concerning the estate of Oscar Tharp Sr., file number 9170. And this is concerning an objection to the final settlement. And so what we'll do while she does that, anyone and everyone that has any intention at all to speak on today's hearing, I need you to raise your right hand, please, and be sworn in for the record, excluding legal counsel. And anyone else that wants to, we hold you all accountable no matter what, but everybody else that wants to speak, okay. Do you and each of you solemnly swear that and affirm that in the matter now in hearing, that your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. So that being said, Ms. Brown, if you'd like to begin.
All right, this is an objection to the estate of Oscar Tharp, file number 9170. It's a rather lengthy file, coming up on 8 years since it was first brought to our office. So my opening is going to be a little lengthier than usual. I tried to hit the high points. I went through the file and tried to hit what I thought was most important for you all to know today. So on June 17, 2016, Daniel Willis first came in to be appointed as administrator of the estate. Then on September the 20th, a will was presented to our office. The will appointed the decedent's wife, Connie Sue Tharp, as executrix to serve without bond. And it stated in the will, which I believe this is probably where the objection is coming from, that each of the children were to receive $50,000, as well as there were grandchildren and great-grandchildren who were either to receive the amounts of $1,000 to $5,000. An appraisement was filed on October the 6th, 2016. That appraisement is in your packet, along with the will. It showed that there was only $500 worth of tangible personal property listed. There is real estate listed that was held with survivorship, and also if you look at that appraisement, it shows that there was a non-probate 602 that was filed. But of course you won't see that because that's non-probate. And then on February the 10th, 2017, a final settlement was presented to the office to close the estate, listing the $500 worth of personal property and showing $2,567.27 in disbursements, so that left $0 in the estate to be dispersed to any heirs. Then, on February the 15th, 2017, our office received an objection to the final settlement from attorney James Milan, who was then counsel for Linda K. Willis, Michael A. Tharp, and Oscar T. Tharp Jr., who were heirs to the estate. They believed that the settlement was fraudulent and they were entitled to $50,000 per the will. Hearing was held before the County Commission on March the 1st, 2017. At that hearing, the County Commission found that the matter should be referred to a fiduciary commissioner, and it was referred to Fiduciary Commissioner Clint Bischoff on October the 30th, 2017. In his findings, he found that the objection filed by the heirs should be dismissed and the previously filed final settlement to be approved by the County Commission. On November 7th, 2017, we received another letter from James Milan stating he was no longer counsel for the heirs and that a previous order that he had put in accepting the final settlement should be dismissed. Another objection was filed by the heirs the same day and stated that Connie Tharp, that the will was fraudulent, that she had been written by her, and that there was concern that the witnesses on the will were Connie Tharp's sister and brother-in-law. So by an order dated December the 6th, 2017, it was determined that the Fiduciary Commission should go to Harley Stallings. So then it was referred to Harley Stallings. There was a status conference on January 5th, 2018. During this hearing, Fiduciary Stallings looked over and reviewed the bank accounts, I believe, that were in question, and he ordered that, or he let them know that any bank accounts that were held with joint survivorship would have become the property of Ms. Tharp upon the death of Mr. Tharp. And he suggested the claimants arrange for counsel within 30 days and that a status or an evidentiary hearing be held 45 days after they had obtained counsel. Then we moved to October the 21st, 2021. A scheduling order, a scheduling conference was held with Connie Tharp by counsel, then Greg Sproles, and Henry Wood, counsel for several of the heirs. Fiduciary Commissioner Stallings asked to be removed because he was going to be appointed, or he was becoming the family court judge at that time, and that Cynthia Whitlock then be appointed as Fiduciary Commissioner. So now we have a new Fiduciary Commissioner, Cynthia Whitlock. She reviewed the records and she sent this case to the Nicholas County Sheriff's Department for an investigation of fraud. This was conducted, the investigation was conducted by Johnny Evans, and he spoke with the banks, he spoke with those involved with the writing of the will, the witnessing of the will, and he also did this in conjunction with the prosecuting attorney's office. You will find his investigation report in your packet there. They found no fraud and said that no charges would be filed against Ms. Tharp. And then on January the 12th, 2023, Henry Wood, counsel for Connie Tharp, requested a hearing be set for Fiduciary Commissioner Michael Anderson. It was set for May the 4th. As we know, Mr. Anderson has since passed. We no longer have Fiduciary Commission in Nicholas County. So this estate has been through 3 fiduciary commissioners, 5 law firms, and it seems that the main issue is the fact that the heirs believed that there was mishandling of funds, which they had not received, that was left to them in the will. However, as the investigation of the Sheriff's Office showed with the guidance of the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, they found no fraud, and that the bank accounts in question would not be part of the probate assets because they were held jointly by Oscar Tharp and Connie Tharp with rights of survivorship. So upon the death of Oscar Tharp Sr., those accounts would have then gone to Connie Tharp and become non-probate assets. So in my opinion, I wouldn't think there would be any further action that either our office or the commission could take on this. It seems that everything has been exhausted as far as what we could do. So I would think that we could go ahead and sign off on that final settlement, and if the claimants or anyone has any more concerns as to fraud or any mishandlings, that it be sent to the circuit court.
So due to the bank accounts being joint ownership, there wasn't enough to basically satisfy the will?
Well, they wouldn't be part of the probate
That's
assets.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
right,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there was no money
Right.
in the probate assets to satisfy
So I
the
left
will.
something in the will that I couldn't financially back.
Right,
Okay.
just like
Well,
if
let's
you
begin
had
here.
property that,
Good.
if you had property that you had gotten rid of before you passed. You no longer, even if your will stated that that property was to go to someone, you can't give something that you don't have in the
Right.
estate.
Let's begin here with Mr. Henry Woods.
Yes, sir.
If you'd like to state your class position, then we can go from there. Thank you, Brandy, for that good report.
Yeah, let me, if you don't mind, I'm gonna slip up here. You're fine, you're fine, Brandon. Let me set this aside. Judge, the commissioners, let me hand you the report of the fiduciary commissioner with respect to these bank records.
Yes, sir.
This is from Harley Stallings, and I only have one copy, but I certainly apologize.
That's fine.
Mr. Tharp, who is deceased, prepared a will in 2013 in great detail, giving to his 4 children and numerous grandchildren and great-grandchildren specific amounts of money. And I'll slip forward. On December 21st, 2015, approximately 4 months before he died, Mr. Tharp's in the hospital. We have those records. And he stays in the hospital with serious problems for 5 days. He was dismissed or discharged on the 25th of December. During that stay, hospice was called in. Connie Tharp dismissed any interest in speaking to hospice. So Mr. Tharp is discharged on the 25th. Serious conditions, numerous conditions is just discharge summons. On the 28th, 3 days later, Connie Tharp begins taking Mr. Tharp to these banks. And you'll see 21, 22 different accounts between the 28th of December and the 30th of December where Connie takes Mr. Tharp to the banks and moves money that would have funded certainly the will, plenty of money to fund the will, and transfers those accounts into joint survivorship accounts, cashes in CDs, moves accounts into not Mr. Tharp's name, but into joint accounts with Connie and Oscar. So once Oscar dies, obviously, under West Virginia statute, unless there's a showing of fraud, undue influence, etc., that money passes according to the card in the bank. There are 2 cases in West Virginia specifically on point. And I can provide you with a brief on those. Certainly, and I know this is a tough one to follow. But commissioners, the West Virginia Supreme Court has said that if the person is in a fiduciary or confidential relationship with that individual who changes the title to assets, there's a presumption of fraud, and that presumption is legal. And I can read this to you. I know we don't have a lot of time. I can provide you with a brief on this and copy counsel. That's why Harley Stallings would not approve the settlement, quite frankly. Send it back because it's clear that within days after being discharged, over $250,000 worth of accounts, money is changed from Mr. Tharp's account to Connie and Mr. Tharp with rights of survivorship. This basically guts the estate, quite frankly. You'll see in the appraisal, Mr. Tharp had plenty of money to fund the will to these children. But then you see, when they file an appraisement with the estate, there's nothing there. There's a house. It's titled in Connie and Oscar's name. There's $500 indicating, which is closed. There's not even any cash indicated in the account. There's nothing. Now this is a gentleman that, now I'm going to segue forward a little bit. As soon as Oscar died, Mr. Willis, Danny Willis, was appointed fiduciary in the case, administrator. No file, no will presented at that point, 45 days after he died. Danny Willis was appointed administrator. He, Mike, Linda's a son, Linda's a daughter, Mike's a son. We've got Oscar Jr., predeceased, and he's got 2 children here. So 3 of the 4 children are here. The other child mentioned in the will is Connie's child. Okay. 45 days to 60 days after Oscar died, these folks, who I just mentioned, especially Linda and Mike and Mr. Willis, Mr. Danny Willis, went to the banks and was able to see the amount of money that were in accounts, and it was $813,000. Now, because they were titled, all of them now in Connie's name, you know, they can't have copies of that account. We couldn't get copies of that account, those accounts. But what you see in front of you with respect to the accounts that Harley Stallings was able to acquire, you can see that at least more than $250,000 was retitled following Mr. Tharp's release from hospital within 3-4 days.
Let me interrupt you there for a moment if you don't care. Was there any other kind of proof that Mr. Tharp was in sound mind when that occurred?
Well, here's the interesting thing about the law in this, Mr. Commissioner. I'm not trying to skirt your question.
Sure.
We haven't directly investigated that much because the facts of this case raise the presumption of constructive fraud.
Okay.
And then the burden shifts to Connie to prove that this was actually a bona fide gift to her versus, you know, some kind of grab. And what happened was, what she did completely thwarted the will of Mr. Tharp. It gutted his estate.
And let me ask for one more
$100,000
clarification, because there's been a lot of information already on this one.
And did Mr. Tharp intend to give her everything when he has a very detailed will? There's facts here that if we were in circuit court, you would give a constructive fraud instruction to a jury. We'd put all this evidence in, and a jury would decide if Miss Connie Tharp could meet her burden of proving that it was a bona fide gift versus, you know, a fraudulent transfer.
Are you representing Connie Tharp?
No.
Okay.
No, I represent the beneficiaries of Oscar Tharp's estate.
Okay, I'm
Some
sorry,
of them
I misread
anyway.
part of this.
Some of them anyway.
So now
I apologize.
I'm
But-
back with you now. Thank you.
Yes, sir. In the cases I'm talking about, I mean, they're very good cases in West Virginia that advise this. You know, it takes almost an evidentiary hearing if you want us to present, you know, if we can even get into medical records, because God, those are hard to get into evidence, but I do have people here to testify. We definitely have copies of the records. We know what condition he was in when he was released, and you know, he was in a wheelchair, he was pushed around. I mean, you know, it's amazing how many accounts all of a sudden were changed within days, you know, following his release, which again frustrated the intent of the will completely. When you look at when you think that if there is $813,000 in accounts that have been transferred over to Connie, or at least $250,000 worth, and you end up with an estate that has nothing in it, nothing.
When you mentioned transfer, was that 2 different bank accounts?
There were
Is that what
4.
you're saying?
There were
Multiple.
22 different bank accounts. There are 22 different accounts.
There's not too much of them.
Just sign.
And from a legal perspective, in a situation like this, I have a wife that I'm going to leave everything to, yet I have a detailed will. Which one takes priority?
The will has no effect until the testator passes. So
Right.
the will can be changed up to that.
Right. But in a situation like this, would the spouse have the I guess more rights to the money, or whatever the case is, or would it be the will that overreads that, since they're not common children?
And let me add another kink to that. At what point does you know, ensuring that they're in sound mind come into place in that too?
Well, then that becomes a will contest, and will contests are handled in circuit court. And to answer your question, it's a tough question. I mean, it depends on the facts of particular case. It's just hard to give you a general answer to that question. And I think all these, and Henry, maybe I'm wrong, these all seem to be circuit court issues to me.
Well, and there's a case in West Virginia that allows the commission to make these decisions. Quite frankly, there's one case. And I don't know, I was not counsel back in the day when objections and everything was set. So you, by default, it's in your lap. I don't know, but that maybe you could refer it to the circuit court. I don't know the answer to that. To take evidence and have an evidentiary hearing. But certainly, this issue of transferring 22, 23 different accounts in 3 days after, by a person in a confidential relationship, 3.5 months before a person dies who's very ill, is
Yeah, stroke.
well, that's exactly what these cases talk about, and there are several that even refers to. And it's a question of fact. It's a jury. Can then, if the burden shifts to Connie, can she prove? No. He was sound mind. This is her burden. Sound mind. Everybody. He wanted to give me all the money, and I tell you what. I suspect if he was of a sound mind, he probably thought Connie would take care of his children. And maybe this is the best way to do it.
Fair statement.
And give him 50-50, 25-5, just like the will said. I can't imagine at that point in his life, of course, I'm speaking out of turn now, but I think that Oscar probably thought, if he was a sound mind, that Connie was just doing the best thing. She was in a confidential, she was his wife. I'll take care of the kids, I'll get them the checks, this will be easier, we won't have to probate things. Yeah, I don't know what kind of discussion, I don't know what was in his mind, and I can't say that, but I can say that circumstantially, this raises the constructive fraud issue, clearly. And these cases find constructive fraud, and then they take that money that was transferred, and it's placed back in the estate, okay? And then it goes according to the will. So the wife would have to, unless she can prove it's a bona fide gift. But again, that's her burden. So that's why I'm not trying to sidestep your question, Commissioner. But we know what physical shape he was in. We know what mental shape, or physical and mental shape he was in. The week before all these transfers occur, who knows on the 28th, 29th, 30th when he was doing all this, I don't know if anyone knows. Probably no one can testify confidently. But circumstantially, I'm confident I could get an instruction to a jury on constructive fraud. Confident, based on based on the amount of transfers, how it thwarted the clear intent of the will. And I think, Commissioners, you sent this to a fiduciary to take evidence, and that never happened. People quit, people died, they just never happened. As far as Johnny Evans goes, I do want to comment on that. That was a criminal investigation. That is a whole different ball of wax. That Miss Whitlock thought if there's a criminal part to this, she didn't want to interfere in that investigation if there was something criminal here. Johnny Evans believed there was insufficient evidence to file charges. Does that mean there wasn't constructive fraud in a civil case? It hasn't. Of course, it doesn't mean that. Constructive fraud in a civil case it just means there's no criminal conduct that he could prove. We see things all the time, and your counsel knows all the time. We see conduct that may rise to criminal, but it can't be proven. I'm not suggesting this was criminal. I'm just saying Johnny's focus had to be on whether or not there was sufficient evidence to charge a person with criminal violation of criminal statutes, West Virginia. That's that. As far as the law of constructive fraud in civil matters, it's a different story.
Mr. Roberts, in answer to your question, had there not been this intervening act of transferring those accounts and the will would have taken effect, she would have had the right to an elective share under the statutes based upon the length of marriage. So she does have certain rights if you would undo that. if you had found that these accounts were done fraudulently, that money would go back in the estate, and she would have the right under the statute to file a claim if it's not barred by time at this point for her portion of the estate.
So if there were 5 children at $50,000 apiece, the $250 would be distributed, and she would have the rights to the rest of it.
Well, she would have the right.
Or to appeal to the rest of it.
It's a little more
Under the will,
complicated.
all the residuary went to her. The house went to her, all the rest of the 800.
The house was survivorship, so it would not have passed
Right.
under the will. There are a lot of factors, because you have to determine what's called the augmented estate if she's not mentioned in the will. And I haven't read the whole will, so I'm not sure she was.
She is mentioned, and she was the residual benefit. You know, after you get through this 250,000, she gets the rest of everything, which at least 45 days after Mr. Thorpe died, there was $813,000 in her name.
So the issue for the
So
Is
she'd
it
have
still
gotten
there?
600 or whatever.
Do you know if it's still there? I mean, is the money?
Well, I don't, because we don't have access to those funds. One thing I was gonna ask, but I don't know if it's appropriate to ask, is some type of order from the commission to get some of these additional records. The commission did order, I don't know if it's necessary, but if you wish to know, of course, we could get those records. I can't get those records because they're in Connie's name. So the court would have to provide some access, some order to effectuate, for the bank to disclose that. And maybe I would say they just should disclose it to the court, not to me, but to the court. Similar to what happened here with these bank records, commissioners, where we have 21, 22 transfers within 3 days, in a 3-day period, or, you know. You have those records, you have those transfers, and they're under seal in your deed. And lawyers were allowed to look at them, but that's it. So you have, and you'll see,
So all of these accounts were just in his name.
they were just in his name.
Were there any other joint accounts?
Yes.
That were in both accounts?
Probably, yes. In fact, there was transfers, and I know there were, because there were transfers that were incidentally found when we found these records back in 2013, 2005, 2009. In fact, I think they're outlined in here. Older accounts that were in both names.
Were any of these funds that are in these other accounts taken from any of the joints, or were they always standalone?
They were always standalone. Mr. Thorpe bought numerous CDs. He had numerous other financial accounts. And when he died, you can see from his estate, he was a pauper. Everything had been transferred.
How long were they married, Connie and Arthur?
They were married in 2013.
2013, so 2016. He died on April 23rd,
So
2016.
really just 3 years.
Yeah. During that and please remember, I mean, there's a lot of little tiny evidence here, but when he was sick, from the and he was sick. I mean, it wasn't just in December of 2015. But the time he was sick in 2015, hospice arrived. They wanted to talk to him. Connie wouldn't even let him. I suspect the bell went off in her head. I mean, you know, this is all argument, but oh God! So he gets this. They get him discharged on the 25th, and man, it wasn't 2 days, 3 days to 28 that we're running the banks. We're gonna get this shit transferred into my account, or in the joint account, excuse me, and that's what happened. I am so sorry.
No.
I'm so sorry. But you
You
know,
should hear how Craig talks. No,
please,
Very friendly
I'll
environment.
pay for the counseling session.
So are you here to represent?
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say
So
is,
let's
are you
let's
Mr.
let-
Hustle?
Let's let.
No,
you
I'm
talk.
Jacob Shuck. I'm an attorney that practices with Mr. Hustle.
State your name one more time.
Jacob Shuck.
Okay, thank you.
Let me
Counsel for
ask a
Connie
question
Thorpe.
of Randy first. So what's before the commission today? The proposed final settlement?
Yes,
Okay,
that's what the objection is to.
okay.
Sure. So, Ms. Stark's position is consistent with Ms. Brown's. This estate's been open for close to a decade now. There are no funds left to distribute, and the proper course of action would to be sign the waiver of final settlement and put it to bed. So Mr. Woods just talked for a long time about all the supposed evidence of constructive fraud, undue influence in the creation of the will. But though, as we've discussed and seen, those are circuit court issues, and there's no reason why. So the statute of limitations for a circuit court action were not told by any action or proceeding in the county commission. Mr. Woods, I know he said that he wasn't counsel back then, but the predecessor in counsel should have filed an action in circuit court if he wanted to go after Connie for those things. The time is way past for that. So I don't think I need to belabor the points that have already been made anymore. I think it'd be a waste of the commission's time. I think it's time to just file the waiver of final settlement and close this estate. Do you have any questions?
Can I rebuttal? Just a quick rebuttal. I want to make sure the court understand, commissioners understand, they have jurisdiction over this. They have jurisdiction to find that the assets were not a bona fide gift, not a legitimate gift. That the assets that were transferred were not a legitimate gift from Mr. Thorpe to Connie. Rather, there was fraud involved here. There's a specific case in West Virginia that gives you jurisdiction. We looked at, and again, I can provide this in a brief to your counsel. I'm happy to do that. I just didn't know if you'd want to get that into all that today, but given 2 weeks, I can certainly provide that to your counsel. All these cases I'm talking about. I'm happy to do it.
Was there ever a report from either the Fiduciary Commission?
There was the last one, I think, Stallings.
You have that.
There was a report rejecting, counsel, there was a report rejecting ultimately the settlement. Let me see if I can find it. Here is an order rejecting final settlement. This was entered on November 15, 2017. And an agreed order to place bank records under seal at the same time. Kenneth Altazza was president at the time. This is your file number, Commissioners 9170.
What was the date of marriage again?
What was the date?
April of 2013.
What's the date, Danny?
April of 2013.
So it looks like the will was written in June, so 2 months later. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see where Mr. Stallings made any recommendation.
I believe he just recommended that the claimants find counsel within 30 days, and then a status hearing be held 45 days after that. And then it went to Fiduciary Commissioner Whitlock.
And he's the one that passed.
And
Like
she
what
resigned,
passed.
then
She
the next one
resigned,
passed.
and then Anderson's.
That's right.
There's no contestment or any issues that any concerns with the will, correct?
We're not going to pursue that. No. I mean, this was admitted to probate. The time's passed, really, as council mentions.
Understood. So you believe the will to be accurate and all?
So the only issue is whether there was constructive fraud.
Yes. Where's the money? Was it a bona fide gift? Was it not?
But
And I'm actually
that's
reading
a
it
circuit.
says
But
that-
that's oh,
Go ahead,
sorry,
no, go ahead.
no. But that's a circuit court issue. They should have brought that claim in circuit court. We're not in circuit court. He's trying to do through the county commission what should the circuit court had jurisdiction to do.
You
And we're
also-
just we're past the
No,
point
you
for one
also
of those
have
actions.
jurisdiction. And again, I'll provide the case specific for counsel if you need that. That's why we're still here. If you wish to shoot it up at this point, even though you do have jurisdiction, I don't know if that's possible. Again, I would look to counsel. I have no idea.
My thought is to table what's before you today is whether to accept or reject the proposed final settlement. And it's not a waiver, so I'm sure they didn't sign on. So was there a formal?
Yes, it is, Mr. Cole, it is, paperclip to the front of the manila file inside the expander.
So-
It's not final settlement.
My thought is to table the final settlement and let them file a petition upstairs. Table it for 30 days.
So you're referring it upstairs?
Yeah, and that way you could have an evidentiary hearing
Yeah.
for the circuit judge. They're not in a situation where they can, you know,
Yeah.
that's why I was referred to a judiciary commissioner to start with.
I understand. Maybe I'll leave these matters I gave to you, counsel, maybe I could get copies of what I presented today to the court.
Sure.
Okay, because I didn't make copies. I didn't. But, you know,
Now, in Mr. Stallings' order, it also allows counsel of record to have access to those bank accounts. I'm assuming you want that?
yes, and I reviewed them.
Oh, you already have?
I have reviewed them, and you know,
That's why I asked the question about which supersedes the will or the spousal application, because I'm not gonna request something that we don't need.
If there was no fraud in the transfer of the bank accounts to the wife, then that would control. If there was fraud, then that's a question for someone to decide.
and we agree, you know, if there's no fraud, if it was a bona fide gift between Oscar and his wife when he transferred all those, that's the way it goes. Will has nothing to do with it. If there was a problem with that transfer, some overreaching, undue influence, fraudulent conduct, that money that was transferred goes back into the estate, and then the will controls who gets it. Yes, sir.
Has there been any effort to mediate?
No.
Would that be beneficial to anyone? to
Well,
mediate?
I don't know. I just heard that Connie doesn't, she spent all the money, so maybe not. But I always am happy to mediate. I'm sure all counsel are.
I mean, I don't know if they have the authority to order mediation, but it seems to me that if there are disputes, that would probably be a way to at least attempt to resolve some of them.
Well, and you know the circuit judge is going to order it.
Absolutely.
I mean, absolutely. Whichever circuit judge gets the case.
Well, there's only one right now.
Are you going to prepare that order, counsel?
I think we could collaborate with it. If you all want to submit a proposal.
Okay. I'll submit something, send it to you, counsel.
I just think that circuit court's better set up to do what needs to be done in this situation. You've got a court reporter, you have opportunity to present evidence in front of the circuit judge, rather than these three laymen.
What's right, you said that he got out of the hospital and within 3 days these were transferred. Is there anything
3, 4, and 5.
in the hospital or medical records that state he was incompetent or anything like that?
Could I read from the deputy?
you let me-
Oh, yes, I apologize. Go ahead.
Now, we think there is. I don't think they did an assessment with respect to competency. I really don't. When he is discharged, he was speaking to everybody, speaking to his wife. He was very, very sick. Moments in the day, he was better than other times of the day when he was in the hospital. That's about all I can really say to that, but I don't think there was ever an assessment done with respect to competency.
And you said there was a request for the financial and medical records to be sealed? Did I get that out of this?
The financial records have been sealed that we have, the bank records.
Per request or just by time?
Yeah, but no medical records have been presented because there's a certain Medical Records Act in West Virginia. We need to jump through those hoops to be able to admit those. We have to authenticate those, and there's a way to do it, and then they're admittable. It can be admitted.
So there was no request anywhere to seal those records, was my question.
No.
Okay.
Oh, you mean medical records?
Yes, sir.
No,
Or
sir,
financial.
because there is none. We didn't present any, and, no.
Now, you,
Yeah. Oh, sure. I'd just like to read from Deputy Evans's report here. He said, I started my investigation with reviewing the medical records that I could get to load on my computer. Although I'm not a doctor, I was able to review them with some understanding. Nowhere could I find that Mr. Tharp was deemed to be incompetent, although he appeared to be very unhealthy. So he was sick, but he was still sane at the time he went to the bank and got Connie Tharp's name put on these accounts as joint tenants with the right of survivorship. So that's
Well,
it.
all
And
that
obviously
means is-
we'd object to
All
that.
that means is Bazille, there is no evidence that there was a competency examination.
And we
That's
don't
all.
know the conversation on the way to Max.
And 3 days, I mean, and like I say, he may have been competent, and his wife, I'll take care of this, you know, just put it all in my name. There's all that going
Well,
on.
that becomes evidence of a constructive trust,
That becomes evidence of a constructive trust being imposed.
potentially.
Yes.
And I don't think the commission, if they accept my recommendation, is denying these folks a hearing on that issue. I think it's just a better venue to have the hearing.
And okay, I'll work on an order. It's going to. I'm not going to get back to an office for about 4 days, maybe even 5 days. Can I do it the end of next week?
It's how, I mean, how are you on the table? You want to
Can
table
you
it
give
for
me
30 days?
10 days to prepare an order for council to look at? 2 weeks, something.
And basically, if we're tabling it, it's with the understanding that you're preparing a suit for upstairs.
A referral from the commission to refer the matter upstairs. I don't know if I have to file a new pleading upstairs. I probably will.
What I would suggest is this: you table it for 30 days. You have 15 days to submit the order because they meet in 2 weeks. So they can sign the order in 2 weeks.
Okay.
What's your recommendation?
Council, I'm going to be.
What is your?
Can we do it?
I'm not trying to deny you a hearing or.
No, I know that. I'm just trying to get some time out there.
Our next meeting is May 1st.
May 1st?
That's correct.
Yes.
Are you meeting
Yeah,
the
we won't
15th
have
of
that.
May?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've-
So actually,
Be June.
you're lucky. May the 15th.
we have an abbreviated meeting to make
That's
first.
after the election.
May the 15th will be our next full session.
I would ask Commissioner Time to make sure that's presented by then. And I only say that because of my schedule recently, now. If I might, I will be busy the rest of today. Tomorrow, I'm in Morgantown all day. Friday, I gotta leave. I gotta fly somewhere. I gotta fly home, actually. Next week, I'm responding to 16 expert disclosures in federal court in Martinsburg. That's all next week.
This has gone on for 10 years. I don't think anybody's trying to. squeeze
Really,
it
I was gonna
into
say.
it. You know, I mean, ultimately it's their decision, but if you have a recommendation, I'm sure they'll listen to you.
I'd like to be able to present whatever to you, so you have it for your May 15th meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
Which is
Except
basically
for
the
me.
30 days out.
So
That's
I
suggested.
make a
Instead of
motion that we table this until May 15th meeting. At the time, you'll be back, or you'll just present it through Greg?
I think I'll just present it in writing, if you don't mind, the referral, which we've talked about here.
My only issue with what you're saying is they will not meet until May 15th to be able to sign that order.
That's fine. I'm eat up with it,
Okay.
with my time. And if I could prepare that referral, then you all would approve it, sign it, and then it would require me within a certain amount of time to file some pleading upstairs, I guess, to get it on the docket.
And you can request a stay up there for them, to stop them from any action on the final settlement.
Okay.
And to say to you, get your client to cooperate and put this to bed. That's what you need to do.
She ain't not been to one of these hearings.
This is my opinion. Get it fixed. There's over $1 billion here after they sold the house.
Yeah, the chicken, all the bank statements wasn't turned into the court.
So, yeah, there is.
Well, let me make a point of clarification. We'll make this due May the 14th, so we have it the morning of the 15th. So-
Yes, sir.
Well, and in circuit court, you have the ability to subpoena all those documents, so.
Yes.
I mean, we just want what he wanted to give. She deserves her fair share, but we deserve ours too.
Yes, sir.
And it's pretty clear. Okay, thank you.
Thank you all for coming in.
Thanks for listening.
If you all can agree on a mediation in the meantime.
Yes.
I'm sure they'll enter order.
Smoother and faster.
Okay, we're here now concerning a discussion regarding Five Rivers Cooperative Inc. agreement. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'll give you a copy of this.
Thanks, sir.
Try to be as succinct as possible. Five Rivers was part of an ARC capacity grant. We were a sub-recipient on that grant. And as a sub-recipient, we were to receive, a little over $57,000. And I came in and requested $25,000 for a tractor. Thankfully, you allowed me to get it. I was to reimburse. I did not know that this organization would then be audited and funds would be suspended and I would not be able to get my money. And I sent you in May of 2023, I sent to this organization a letter explaining that there was an ongoing audit by ARC, USDA, and Benetton. And it was not in that audit finally was completed the middle of last month. And if you read this letter here, dated April 17th, that I'm giving you, I'm part of a team. The first one here, I'm a part of the team that visited AR Sprouting Farms to look at the assets that were still there. And as part of the agreement that they're hammering out now, I will probably receive about $30,000 in high tunnel assets. Benetton I'm working closely with Benetton to make up the shortfall in cash, but I will not have that meeting with Benetton until the middle of June. I can send you that email if you need it, but I'll be meeting with them. So what I'm asking is that, but if you read this letter and you look at what we're doing and how we've pivoted from as a sub-grantee on this award to literally an organization that we're piloting the first ag certification program in the state at New River, that we're moving ahead. And yes, it's been a financial strain, but that's going to be alleviated in the next couple of months, especially when we put up the other 400 feet of high tunnel. I have contracts with the Nicholas County Board of Education. You can talk to Sherry Mole, where they're purchasing produce from us. I'm also working with Fayette County, Pocahontas County school systems as well. So I'm basically asking, can I have until December to make this good?
Just a reminder, you asked me about a month ago to contact him regarding the tractor, and he's here in response to my letter. And he has called me, and I suggested that he be here today.
No, thank you. And you've heard the saying, Delta Lemon, make lemonade. Well, we actually were fortunate. This happened, so how can I say this? We are a relatively new 501c3, so we have to be sponsored by other nonprofits. As a result of this, I'm now partnered with High Rocks out of Pocahontas, but also, more importantly, Coalfield Development, which it works out of both Huntington and I believe Athens, Ohio. In the background is another organization called Appalachian Sustainable Development. So I've been put on a better team, for lack of a better term. ARC has been, and Benetton have been very generous in guiding this. And Benetton is aware of what's going on. They're aware that I have this obligation, and we'll be discussing that in the middle of June. And I may end up receiving a president's grant from Benetton to actually pay for the tractor.
So, when did we make you this thing?
April of 2022.
And if I remember correctly, this was going to be a holdover loan.
Yes.
For a few months until you sold product and then paid us back.
Well, that as well as getting the grant and selling the product. I was supposed to sell it through Turnrow, which was part of Sprouting Farms, and they just imploded. And so I literally had to.
When did they?
Turnrow started imploding in the summer of 2022. Sprouting Farms, but in Sprouting Farms shut them down around December of 2022.
Did you receive any money?
Did I receive?
Out of the sale of produce?
Yes,
Where'd that money go? Why didn't it come back to us? Like it
that
was
money went
promised?
to pay, like, utility bills.
How much was it?
What, my utility bills, how much money?
How much did you get?
Receipt.
I received 2022, our sales were 4,300. In 2023, it was 8,100. This year, because of where we're at and because we finally, we were able to set it up where we're operating year round, it'll probably be about 18,000. But if I get these high tunnels, that's the projection is the low will be 18,000, the high will be somewhere around 39.
Okay, so you're counting on other money coming in.
I'm counting on
grants.
sales. No, I'm counting on sales.
Okay, but you list all these grants.
I
So
list the
is it-
grants.
So the money we gave you, 25 grand?
25, yes.
What did you do with it?
I bought a tractor.
So
And
you have the tractor?
I do have, oh yes, absolutely. Have the tractor and the tractor. If you'll notice also, I gave you you should have a diagram right here. This is a proposal that's being worked on with River Trails Association, the Cranberry Tri-River Trailhead concept and all of this. We are literally here. And our tractor is used to help maintain this area. I know you've talked to Pete Connor and he was using a tractor. Well, we also use our tractor to do that. And the tractor, yeah, and I can, if you want, I can show you I can send you the receipts, show you the pictures, show you where it's warehoused. No, that was made. That purchase was made and is used.
And I know in the initial that you'd spoke about using that to clear land for additional.
Yes.
So is the tractor an integral part of you moving forward? Since
Yes,
land is
because
cleared,
because we're now getting 400 additional feet of high tunnel, and that's going to require me. I have already cleared enough space for 200 feet of high tunnel, but now I'm going to use it to help clear the remaining 200. Actually, I cleared that area last year and used it to grow produce. Okay, and that produce went to the Nicholas County Schools. That's where it was part of the 43. So yes, that tractor is used. And
I mean, exclusive of the rail trail. Because we actually have a partnership, like you said, with Pete,
Right.
Mr. Connard.
Right,
where
and Pete is now sick.
We loan him a tractor and he uses it for that.
Right.
So that would be covered by the tractor that we have on that aspect.
yeah, we both
I know it's a
work.
partnership,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
we both work.
once you clear the additional for the other 200 feet of high tunnel, that tractor, I mean, you don't use the tractor inside of a high tunnel, I'm assuming, or do you?
Actually, our we have a compact.
Right.
So yes, we do use it because our tunnels are 37 feet wide and 17 feet tall. So yeah, we have space. But I actually use it to, we grow all of our root crop outside of the high tunnels. And that used to be a very viable product. For example, our first year in 2019, we did $9,500, but that was, 2019, in the COVID period, we were making almost $10,000 just off of turnips.
Right.
So yeah, the expectation was there, COVID, and then this organization imploding, it was a substantial setback. And because I'm a sub-grantee, I was never fully made aware of what was going on. I just was kept being told, oh, your money's coming. And then I literally learned in October of last year at a meeting with Benedum, because all of us were finally together, and then it was starting to come out because, Sprouting Farms in trouble. And then I was pulled aside by Benedum, and he said, are you in trouble? I said, well, I've got debt, I've got loans, I've got this. And they said, let us get through this, and we're there to help you. For example, the reason I listed grants is to show you that there are organizations that are supporting us. It's not, and those grants are all for a very specific purpose, okay? For example, the $15,000 that we talked about with Benedum, that was to help us start the ag certification program with New River. The other 40, there's a 12,000 from West Virginia Department of Ag and the USDA, because we are going to be the first organization that sets up this very inexpensive hydroponic facility in a 50-foot high tunnel. So these grants, just to show you that we're alive, we're kicking, and organizations want to work with us, we've just been hampered. We've been hampered. I could not write another grant during this whole suspension because the organization Sprouting Farms was my sponsor. If they're suspended or under audit, I can't obtain funds.
Well, I guess my point is you come here and you have all these reasons and all these excuses, but you didn't come here till we sent you a letter. So you're not keeping us informed. You're not. Do we have
I
Bobby,
apologize for that.
do we have a UCC against that tractor?
No, I don't think so, but I'll be more than happy to sign.
I would like to see what you paid for the tractor. I'd like to
Okay.
see the receipt. I'd like to see everything. I think we should put a UCC against it.
Great.
We need to be informed, not just send you a letter and you show up. Because I really, I see a whole lot of excuses here.
Yes.
Okay, I don't see any information other than excuses and hope.
Oh,
You
I
got
can-
hope here, so that, my opinion is, we'll get with legal. I want to see the receipt. I want to see what you paid for it. I want to see pictures of it.
Right.
So that's my opinion. You guys.
So, just a quick, I guess it would be an assumption. So your estimated revenue you believe to be somewhere between $18,000 and $39,000 this year?
Yes.
So we could not expect full payment back. I mean, that's not,
No, because there's only
Right.
two. Yes.
Yes,
No,
sir.
I fully expect to pay.
but probably not in full by this year with that type of sales. I mean, that would chew up most of your revenue.
Yeah, but
Would you entertain I'm going to call it a partnership, a donation to the community, where you grow product that's sought after in this area, and you distribute some portion of it at market value out to the senior citizens communities
yes,
through the community, and we deduct that from the $25,000?
yes.
Would you be opposed to something like that? You see what I'm saying? I mean,
Yes,
like
I
people
do.
like onions, they like potatoes, they like carrots, they like those types of things,
And-
and not at your cost, but at at market value, that we have have some sort of, would that be something?
pantry?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Just an augmentation. That way, we're
Well,
not taking
I
your
can-
working capital away from you. You're still able to work forward, move forward, and keep your business alive.
I can distribute to 3 food pantries, as well as I've also been working with Edgewood Village and their part, the same center in Webster Springs. So yeah, I'm fine with that.
I mean, does that make? I think it would lighten the load just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
I would like to
definitely-
limit that to Nicholas County.
Yes.
And the senior
Yes,
citizen.
sir. Because that's
I have no
taxpayer
problem.
dollars. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, because and I deliver to the elementary school directly across the street from the senior center
Yep.
in Craigsville. So yeah, and I deliver to the elementary school over here that's directly across from the senior center, right over here in
Yes, sir.
Summersville. So yeah,
And I know we
no
have,
problem.
there's probably some produce that grow quite a bit faster that may not be as desired in the area.
I grow lettuce, tomatoes, kale, squash, spinach, corn.
Is that, I mean, I don't like it's rutabaga or turnips or something. They have a pretty fast turnaround time.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're
Yeah.
sought after as much, but definitely something that people would like in the area.
Yeah,
I mean,
like all those others. We grow, well, we provide to pantries.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And Mountain Food Bank is another.
Yeah, we definitely want to stay, like I said, that we
Okay.
use taxpayer dollars to keep that right in Nicholas County. So we'd have to develop some sort of a report that would be signed by the donated.
I can report it.
Just trying to
every month.
partnership up and make it a lot
And the
easier.
senior center.
Yes.
Yeah. But
And we need to talk about if we want to
I
do
totally
100%
understand what you're
value
saying,
or
and
not.
I have no problems with the UCC and receipts, because I have the receipts. And I can get those to you by Friday.
Yes, sir.
Easily.
Okay.
We would need a copy of the bill of sales to consider.
Yeah, that's what.
Right, that's what we
So,
thought.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to say that.
No problem.
So we validate our asset,
yes.
verify, and then we work with as a partnership to augment, or, I mean, if you can offset it completely, but yeah, in terms, so what do you think? I mean, I'm thinking like fair market value.
Right, but
What
like,
you would pay from.
But what you're taking away from the
May
you're taking away from the debt service.
Yes.
Are
Is
you
100% of what you do away, 50%?
Am I audited?
Are you audited?
Yes, well, by Benham.
That's, the other
When was
question
the
I
last
had.
audit they did?
We're on one now. They're finishing up. We'll be finished in June. I filed the taxes. The tax is going to be filed next month, but by the middle of June, we should have the results of the audit, because that's why I'm meeting with them, West Virginia Department of Ag, as well as ARC in the middle of June.
Some of that stuff we may ask for too.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause you said the funds are suspended. Is that due out of just a regular audit period, or
That was
is there
due
suspect-
because, well,
No,
from what I was told in October, when I was at the first ag capacity meeting, is that Sprouting Farms literally just had a $500,000 line of credit. They had gone through all of the grant funds, and that was the first indication to me that my funds were not going to be available. I was sitting next to Bill Woodrum from Benham at that time, and he says, "Norval, I need to talk to you after this meeting." And he said, "I know that you were a sub-grantee. We're fully aware of what's going on, but we have to complete this, and we'll see and we'll find out what's being dispersed." That's why, in lieu of, I'm owed anywhere between $37,000 and $52,000. That's why they're making sure that I get 400 feet of high tone, which present value is around $30,000.
Now, you solely speak for Five Rivers Quad?
Yes.
Okay. Does that the partnerships were the other ancillary grantees, or?
Okay, I'm not quite sure.
You alluded earlier that you were in like a
Okay,
partnership.
I'm speaking for Five Rivers.
Yes.
Okay.
That part's all I'm concerned about.
Yes.
Solely you speak for that?
Yes.
Okay.
What I might request for consideration is, I can't make a motion, but, let's see here.
You actually can. Just learned that.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, you can show.
I'm sorry?
Well,
Either way,
let's
we'll
get into
go.
that here in a minute. But what my recommendation would be is to consider the extension through December 31st, 2024, which could be revisited at that time, but strongly discouraged. And that we take upon, and that we receive the data requested of a UCC be placed, the purchase receipt, pictures, and be informed of the status of the tractor. And that we consider the in-county, Nicholas County centers, for senior centers, be considered at 50% of the sales that go to the senior centers can be reduced. That whatever that amount be could be reduced off of the debt service. Up to, yeah.
And we definitely want to, so we want to both, there's 2 senior centers in Edgewood.
Yes, in Nicholas. Yes, 2 senior citizens.
Yes,
There's
sir.
one in Richwood.
There's
What about
one in
People's
Richmond as
Place?
well. Pardon?
Legacy People's.
So Legacy
Same
People's
thing?
Place is a food pantry.
Oh, I can go up in Legacy as well.
But,
because
I mean, I think
Yeah,
that,
just try to
so
get all
senior
these
centers
together.
and food pantries.
if you'll notice that I mentioned,
I was gonna say, I think whatever he does in kind like that, to wherever it goes, as long as it's,
In county projects.
We just don't want to keep it in one place.
and
yeah.
Right, that's right, and to spread the love.
Legacy as well as Nettie. 10 of
Well, yeah,
the
that's
students that that have listed on here, 6 of them live there and are growing, and they're part of the cooperative. So yeah, I have no problems with that at all.
So any county-based county initiative,
Okay.
with the utmost respect to Mountaineer Food Bank, stuff like that, that's great. Don't get me wrong, that's a good project. But like the one you mentioned, I forgot about Nettie, Legacy, the senior centers.
Yeah, and
I
I
think
already
that
have,
we can
That'd be grown on
I
site,
already have
not-
relationships with those people.
Yeah.
With people that actually operate there and work there.
Grown on site.
Good.
We need something that you're growing.
So that would be my recommendation.
So moved.
Do you understand all that, or you need clarification on it? Okay, so that motion's on the floor. Any further questions? Any clarifications? Anything from legal counsel? Anything from the clerk?
15 days for the serialization, identification of the equipment, December 31st for the offset based on distribution of produce.
Yes.
Okay.
Those remain valid.
So just to be clear, on December 31st, if that does not happen, you're going to repo the tractor? Or revisit it on December?
Revisit.
strongly encourage payment, but the possibility of revisiting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll have to pay. Thank you, but it'll be paid.
It's not really repayment, it's just
Okay.
working that debt off.
Yes.
Well, yeah, as far as we can work it down the
It'll
road
be,
for all.
it'll be worked off.
Because it's over seniors and everything.
And then any communication of any status changes.
Yes.
Yes, I apologize. I did get a status report last year, May of last year. My apologies for not doing it earlier this year.
Not a problem.
Okay?
We appreciate you
Thank
coming in, and that motion is still on the floor. Is there any further consideration? Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, the motion doesn't carry.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Sorry we were running late.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
That being said, do we still have Cassandra?
Hey, bye-bye. Thank you.
Patty, do we still have Cassandra?
No, she left her thing, so I had the paperwork, so she had to leave.
So on behalf of Cassandra Lawson, we have Miss Patty Neff.
Oh.
Cassandra Lawson is the Senior Project Specialist for Region 4 Planning and Development Council. Patty Neff is the glue that holds the courthouse together. And first up, we have number 1, the City of Richwood, Hinkle Mountain Little Laurel Waterline Extension Project, resolution number 26.
Unfortunately, the paperwork she was expecting did not come, so we need to table that matter for now.
Okay.
Item 1.
Item 1, is there any objection to table?
Nope.
By unanimous consent, item number 1 is tabled.
Same for number 2, the memorandum of understanding.
This is the City of Richwood Memorandum of
Yes.
Understanding for Mitigation and Reconstruction Project.
Yes, that needs to be tabled.
Okay, is there any objection? Unanimous consent? And then, sorry.
We're
And then
good for the next
Birch
one.
River Public Service District, Mill Creek Waterline Extension Project, resolution number 5.
So we do have resolution number 5. It's for construction, payment estimate number 3 to Pro Contracting Incorporated and engineering services. Pro Contracting is for $112,888.77. And for engineering fees to E.L. Robinson for $26,974.44. Overall total is $139,863.32. The only item coming out of the Community Development Block Grant Fund, which is our portion, is the Pro Contracting, and that is the $112,888.77.
Okay.
This is the sheet that needs to be signed by the commission. That's resolution number 5.
To 112.
And so, again, as she mentioned, the only funds that we're truly tied into is the CDBG grant that we received on this project, Pro Contracting for $112,888.77. But then again, of course, E.L. Robinson will come out of the IJDC for the engineering. Are there any questions? Anyone like to review this? Okay, is there any consideration for the resolution number 5 concerning the Mill Creek Waterline Extension Project as presented?
I make a motion that we fund resolution number 5 with $112,888.77.
Okay, and that with a total amount of the resolution number 5 being $139,863.32. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? The motion does carry. Sign that, please. Okay, and now we have the Craigsville Public Service District Generator Project FEMA request for payment number 11, resolution number 10.
Yes, and this is in form of a letter for $2,170.94. It's all admin fees from Region 4. Mary printed off what Region 4 had sent of their timesheets, basically. It's about that thick if you want to look at it. But that's what it's in reference to.
Now,
This is on the generator project. And that should about complete, I would think, the project.
So this is, I see here, this is pay request number 11 from FEMA. Now what about the resolution number 10? Did she leave that?
No.
Okay, so we only have in front of us here the FEMA request for payment number 11, which again is stated, I don't think goes towards Region 4 Planning and Development Council. And did she?
I think it's payment 11 out of resolution 10, right? I think those equal, the way I read it.
Well, what we can do is just, consider it and move on payment number 11, or pay request number 11, and then we can
And if it's
verification
something
resolution.
yes, if she admitted it by accident, we'll get it.
Make a motion for approval of payment number 11 on the Craigsville PSD FEMA generator project in the amount of $2,170.94.
And this is again towards Region 4 Planning and Development Council for their services from August of 2018 to April of 2022. And it is listed on the list if you all would like to review that. The motion is on the floor. Is there any further discussion?
What's the fees, I guess, and then just totals it.
And she also mentioned, while she was here, that there was a house in Richwood that during the 2016 flood, it was destroyed, and they did do away with the property, the building rather, but the property owner wants to rebuild, and it's outside of the city limits, but the city of Richwood did provide the utilities to the property. So FEMA wants to come in to help the owner rebuild, but they would like to see a memorandum of understanding with the commission and the city in order for them to let the utilities come in into the property.
Do you know what floodplain that's in?
What floodplain? No, I don't.
What I would request well, let's go ahead and move on this, then we'll discuss that. Is there any motion on payment request number 11? Okay. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, the motion does carry. Concerning this property in Richwood, if it was destroyed during the 2016 flood, what I would request, if it's okay with the commission, is that a proposal be prepared by Region 4 for that memorandum of understanding, and that we would seek counsel from our floodplain management team before we agree to this. It's our floodplain. You have to get a certificate when you build a house.
Is that what it's for, that we're waiving the floodplain issue? We don't have anything over utilities.
They're talking about utilities, but I mean, that's opening a pretty big door, in my opinion, to say, here, you can build on floodplain property.
I'd say we need a little bit better information.
Yes, we do.
And tell us what they're requesting of us.
Yes. And I understand what you're saying about utilities, but overall picture is what my concern is too.
So we have this problem in floodplains, we can create it.
That's right.
And under what authority you have to do that?
Yeah.
That's right.
Because I want to check your liability.
Absolutely. Thank you.
But they said.
Anything else on behalf of Ms. Wilson?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. That being said, we apologize for being behind here, but we have Mr. Chris Jeffries of Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration Company. And this is regarding emergency response plan.
I want to thank you guys for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you. Just a little bit of history about ourselves. Company started in 1977 with Bob Conjugera. He started the business as just a carpet cleaning company to help pay to go through college. From there, went through college, done everything, and decided to go full on, build the company up to be a full remediation company, full restoration. We do everything in-house. We have our own contractors. We do everything. Through time, we've basically been just a residential company outside of helping WVU and doing the WVU hospitals and stuff like that. The big freeze we had a couple years ago changed all that. We had a lot of call-ins from commercial companies like, hey, we need your help, and we wasn't ready for that type of stuff. So we've really changed our aspect. We've started these ERP plans to help with commercial, and really trying to build that relationship. We've added more crews. We've started new locations, with locations now in Wheeling, Morgantown, Pittsburgh, now Charleston, and we also have one in Florida as well, because we used to always send crews down for hurricane season. We can't do that now. We're starting this commercial stuff, so starting branches out everywhere, so that way we can pull our employees to any location that really needs us. So with that being said, like, if you guys have an emergency, flooding, anything else like that, or water line break and you need to get some water taken out of a building, what's your plan in place? You guys have a plan that's in
We just
place?
handle it.
You just handle it?
Yeah.
You do it in-house?
Well, it depends.
If it's within the capability.
In the capabilities. Do you guys ever call out like
I mean-
remediation companies?
I think we have
We
had
don't
major
unless-
events,
yes.
really.
Unless there's something.
Honestly, we've been
There's not a
right.
lack of need.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And that's a lot of the commissions. I work with a lot of them in the area. Now with us having the Charleston branch, we're slowly starting to move down this way to make it easier, because if we're going to do an emergency response for somebody, we want to be close enough to actually make it in time to actually help. These ERP plans that we're talking about is it's an app-based plan. What we do, we gather all the information for all your buildings, square footage, generators, water shutoffs, anything, your utilities, if anything would have to be called and be like, hey, we need this shut off because we have some water in here. Anything to help with you guys and with you know, us if we were called into a job, or any other company that you would call in. It's basically it's something that can help insurance base wise. You can use it for so many different things. Training of new employees, whatever you need it for, it's going to have all kinds of information in it, so that way you have it. Your blueprints can be put in there. Everything you want, everything you don't want. It's just we build it any way you need it to be. Good thing is we don't have a cost on it. It doesn't cost you anything. The only requirement that we have is that we get to be a vendor. So if you ever need us, call us and give us an opportunity to quote. That's all we ever ask for. And I'm going to come in occasionally and bother you guys and bring some lunch or something, do a lunch and learn, and go over stuff and be like, hey, this is something new in the app. Would you guys want to put it in or not, or whatever? You know, it's all up to you guys of how you want to build it.
Does this require any kind of like maintenance contract of checking the properties once a year or anything like that? Or?
No. I do have a contract, but it's not really a contract. It's just an agreement. The only thing that we ask for, if you notice, down at the bottom, is that we get to become a vendor with the opportunity of quoting out jobs. We understand government, you have to get 3-4 quotes. We just have to race to be the cheapest.
Right.
That's our goal. If you need us, let's be the cheapest. Let's win some of them. If we don't, you pick somebody else. Like it says in there, there's no penalty. You can pick anybody you want to do the job. We just need to be better and win those jobs. That's how it really comes down to. So that's really the plan, and it is just to actually add more customers that we have opportunities to serve, and give you something in advance to actually help build it.
If it's a non-emergency, you'd have to bid it. If it's an emergency, you'd have to get quotes.
Right.
So, and I guess all they're asking you for, and I haven't read the contract or agreement, is the opportunity to quote. And
Yeah.
be included in that one of those three.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Is because like a lot of places, it's kind of written for like not just for the government stuff, but like also for like schools and for like regular commercial buildings. So it's worded as in we become a vendor. So we're one of those guys that, hey, we're going to call Panhandle and get a price on this, or let's check and see what their pricing is on for this job or anything else. So that's the only thing we ask, is that we get opportunities to bid jobs. And a lot of those jobs, don't even have to be emergency stuff. Like if you guys do something, I don't know, you guys might do your own like windows, or if you're pressure washing stuff, or you're doing HVAC cleaning or stuff like that. We do all those jobs. So if you would need a quote from us, we'll also be like, hey, we can do that for you too. And we'll send out emails to remind you, like, hey, we have this stuff, you know, would you guys be interested? We even sell you guys like the cleaning supplies. We do a lot of that stuff too. So if you guys need quotes even in that retrospect, we can do that. So
The way this reads is because you see the benefits and value of this emergency response program, you agree that contractor, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, will be a primary emergency response contractor considered to respond to losses caused by windstorm, water, sewer, flooding, freezing, fire, smoke, mold, accident, death, and trauma scenes. There will be no penalty if you hire another company. You will from time to time meet with the contractor staff and provide the necessary information to ensure that this emergency response program is current and up to date.
I don't like the word primary.
Yes.
Because.
That locks you in.
Yeah.
But the only thing we're locking you into, and it's really not even locking into, because we don't even know if you have jobs or not. It's just giving us the opportunity to bid. It's just a primary vendor, like a preferred person, since we are giving the ad and stuff for that.
I understand that. I just don't like the word primary.
I mean, I can take it out and redo it. I can word it any way I need to reword it so you guys are comfortable with it.
Which it follows up. I agree with your concern. It follows up with there will be no penalty if you hire another company.
Sure.
But
yeah.
I agree that.
But if something happens and John calls out 2 or 3 other vendors and they're not one of them, then I don't want to be in a situation
breach of
where.
contract.
Okay. So would it be if I worded it, if I changed it and sent it back to you, something like a vendor, one of your vendors that you use for quoting purposes? Any way that works better for you.
I'll tell you what, you email it to me and I'll order it.
I have to type it up and get it approved from my boss.
All right.
But I mean, you tell me what to put in it, and I'll put it in there until you approve it. I'm not doing anything else with it.
If you will email that to the commission, I will make my suggested changes. You can make those and submit it to your boss.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah.
I definitely respect the proactive approach. That's what we were saying.
But yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's all good. We just
Hey, wording's a major thing. I mean, that's
Wording's
a
my
big
job.
thing.
Right. You're right.
Exactly, and I'm like, you're here instead of making it another day and everything else. Let's do it all and work it out together.
Well, I'm just talking about the operational approach. You know, when you guys roll in and you know what you're rolling to, so they're rolling in blindly. It's like, well, we got a phone call, we're heading down the road, we don't even what we
You know where the electrical
Yes.
panel is, you know where this is, you know where that is.
And you have access to that too. So if you call any of the other restoration companies you guys would call, you can download all that information and have that for them too.
Right.
It's like I said, there's no penalty for it. So if you use somebody else because they're cheaper and that's who you trust, then hey, use it. It's for you guys. I mean, that's what it's for.
I'll put you on our vendor list as far as a resource available.
Yeah.
But until I get everything back from legal.
Oh yeah, they have to do all that stuff first.
Because there's a fine line when it comes to emergency. You know,
there is.
So
yeah.
That's another thing that I have to look out for them as well. So
yes, because the biggest thing is there may be an emergency that you can handle yourself.
Right.
You don't have to call anybody out. That it won't affect us at all, and it shouldn't affect anybody other than you guys.
Right.
It's as needed.
But if there's an emergency happens in the county, there's different laws and regulations we can go by if we become a state of emergency.
Yes.
If not, then we still have to go through the process.
Right.
Yep.
So that's where that fine line is, and that's where we need more.
Oh yeah, and I've already got the ERP set up for like 10 counties already, and we've worked with them. Anything that's needed to be done so it feels confident. We're not trying to trap you guys into anything.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want you guys feeling like, oh, this could come back to us.
Do you care to give a couple of county examples?
I've got Lewis County, Upshur County, Barber County, Preston County, Doddridge County, Randolph, and starting to do some city councils along the area too. Yeah, that's my area. I'm North Central. This is Jason. He's our southern guy, so he's in the Charleston area. So this is kind of in the middle, and it was like well, if they hire somebody out of Charleston, this might be his area. They wanted to go slower out of there, so I was like, we'll get this signed and stuff. You're going to have people probably come from Charleston quicker than Morgantown, because like if you notice, I'll hand this back to you. Like on number 1 on that on the agreement, there's a time.
Yes.
Of like, say if there's like a snowstorm or something and your water line's busted and everything else. So that's a primary emergency where it's like we got to get somebody here. We're going to say we can have somebody here within, say, 2 hours. And that's our response time. I don't know, we'll have to really measure it out to give the exact, but I just threw that out there.
Right.
If you have that 2 hours, then you call in that 800 number, you say, I'm an ERP customer, you're the top of the list. Because that's a part of being, you get those priority responses because you're signed up for the ERP. So that's the other benefit that you get from it, is if you really, really need us and somebody's like, I'm 5 hours away, well, you call Panhandle and they're required to be there because we have that agreement.
Right.
So that's where it's important with that. But yes, I'll email that over.
Okay.
And we'll get working on that and get it fixed. That's not.
Carpenter
About my position.
But I would say you're probably looking at about 2 hours, because I would say we probably would send somebody up from Charleston first.
All right, Darren, she can distribute to all 3 of us.
Okay.
When you guys are taking these counties on as clients, how long does it typically take to get your information database?
It really depends on how quickly we can work with the, if they're really busy. Usually about, I'd say a month.
Okay.
Just because I do have so I do a lot of the hospitals, and I do hospitals, colleges, and county commissions. That's my base that I work out of right now.
So it would just be our county assets.
Yeah. So like you guys sign, like say if we get this fixed and you have the meeting on the 15th, I think it was, or of next month. I would come back, we would sign the paperwork, I would get with your maintenance supervisor, get all the information, the addresses, I could start all that stuff up, and then email everything that you guys would have, you could email to me, I could enter it. It could be days, it could be a month, it just honestly depends on how quick everybody can work together on it.
We have quite a bit of stuff.
How many buildings do you guys have?
I mean, you could be talking 25.
Yeah.
Right now.
25 to 35.
So it's about like,
when you include cabins at the park, hangars at the airport, 911.
And you want to count, honestly, you want all the building locations that you have. I mean, because if something happens at one of those and we don't have it, then nobody has the information.
Right.
Other than you and everything, but I mean, you're always going to be on the location anyway.
Right.
But just in case, if there's something like if we're doing a job and you're not there because you have to be somewhere else, they have that information too, that they don't have to bother you if you're on a different job. But yeah, all that stuff's good. It's perfect for these type of and for the governments and everything else. So that's one of the reasons why we really started doing it. That's one of the areas of why I wanted to do it. So, but yeah.
I think it's a very neat idea. I really do. Commissioners come and go, employees come and go, but
yeah,
they could be a maintained database.
Yeah, and we usually have it set up, honestly, the reason why we do these meetings is you guys have to make the final decisions. So it's easy to meet with you guys first and give you the information. We work with the city or the county administrator and the maintenance supervisors after that. You guys are really offhands and stuff on anything other than unless we come back in as hey, these are things that we can offer as well. Is it something that you want to add? And other than that, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will definitely take this under strong advisement.
Yeah, I'll get this emailed over to you today.
Okay.
Probably here in the next, probably around lunch. Well, we're probably there.
We're almost there now.
Here soon.
Thanks for our time schedule. So, yeah. Very good. But no, I appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. Thanks, guys.
That being said, I would like to amend our agenda. After this agenda item here, I would like to reallocate the discussion concerning courthouse native system and also discussion regarding emergency medical services salary enhancement fund from the April 3rd, 2024 agenda. If there's no objection to amending that agenda as said. Okay, thank you. So that being said, discussion concerning courthouse data system. Patty, I'm going to lean on you on this one pretty heavy. This is concerning our server software system.
Oh, that would be Mary. She's been talking to Michael.
Okay.
Software systems.
Yes.
Mary, you ready to talk about the server? Software
No, yeah.
systems and server IBM.
We won't move her.
So in short, they're not able to do a backup. In short, we're not able to do a backup. That's gonna be the major hurdle this installation. And most likely replacing or just have to like manage support.
Well, we've tried that. I don't think that ever did anything.
They tried the warranty yesterday.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
Should just put you right up here. Anyways, we're off of agenda, but we have amended it. We're discussing the courthouse data system. And I know you've spent a lot of good time on here recently. Concerning that system, it's our understanding that there was some personnel on site here yesterday, attempted some work, but it was not successful.
Right. And Software Systems actually loaned us a tape deck player, and they thought that would take care of the situation, but it didn't. And so they did a backup of our three most important things. And I talked to Michael with Software Systems today, and he says there's like possibly 3 things we could do. That tape deck worked when it was at Software Systems that they let us borrow. He said that we could find a newer refurbished tape deck drive, but they're not sure that that's the true problem that's wrong. And they can back up the old, backdate the old maintenance contract. If they backdate the old maintenance contract, they're thinking that it will probably be more than a tape deck would be. And the third thing that they're thinking of is that buying a new one.
They give a price on that?
If, I'm talking new system.
Yes. Did they give a amount on that?
Not today,
Okay.
Because they also told me that they would refund our maintenance agreement amount, not Software Systems, but it would come through IBM, that they would refund our maintenance agreement to the end of the year. But you have to get the new one put in before they do that. And I told him that, you know, possibly if we went with looking at that Michael might want to come in and talk the new system and what it is and what it, you know, because there is a 3-year contract, 3-year free maintenance contract with the new system, and you know, again, backdating, and we would get our money back that we have paid for the maintenance on the AS400. The other thing he said, until we have made that decision, they would continue to back up our system for those 3 major projects, whereas we've been doing it on a daily basis. So, you know, that he said they could look at as well. So, I mean, the tape deck worked when it was in their office, and it doesn't work down there. So they're at a standstill as well as to whether the tape deck is the only problem, because it worked in their office. And IBM is not going to consider the tape deck as a, under warranty, because they said that, I think it goes back like 5 years, let's say it would be 5 years of maintenance cost that they would have to go back, because that's when it was taken off inadvertently, not by us. It's not our it's not our mistake. But, so that's, you know, they're asking me to close out the first maintenance order that we had in with them over the tape deck, because they say it is not under contract. And I've just been ignoring them.
Correct.
Because
They want to reduce their ticket time, 100%.
Yeah.
They don't want that to stand out and be a radar, a flag on somebody's radar.
So let me ask you this. I mean, of course, a previous proposal we received was from Software Systems. Could we get them into the next meeting to discuss all this and get us actual pricing on these different options?
yeah, and that's what I said to
what I would
Michael
probably
today,
request.
that,
And
you
that way we
know,
get it all
Is there a
actually-
premium? I'm assuming Software Systems adds premium.
I don't know. That's the honesty.
You said they would refund our maintenance agreement?
IBM will refund the maintenance agreement, but you have to have the new system in place to get it.
Understood.
That's what
unused
Michael told
premium
me
through the end of the
today.
year.
Right.
Correct.
Prorated for the rest of the year.
Right.
Yeah, it's odd that, I mean, I know we've got the warranty work, but if the tape drive is good and it's bad on ours, then somebody from development should be able to log in, pull that code, and see where it's failing. It's either an internal hardware failure or an internal software failure, and they should be able to determine that.
And they
It's awful
have-
funny that, in coincidence, we received this letter and it fails a month later. I mean,
Yeah.
probably is a coincidence, but I think they could probably do more due diligence on troubleshooting.
Yeah, and they were supposed to try to get us Upshur County did get the new system. And so their old tape deck, we were, you know, Michael with, I want to make sure it stays, you know, he's with Software Systems. He tried to get in touch with them, and he has since, and they've already disposed of their system, their AS400, their tape deck. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so maybe let's request Software Systems join us on May 15th.
How often did you say they're doing a backup?
Yeah.
And where's that going to?
They said they could do it once a week, and they have 3 AS400s in their office, Software Systems.
I don't have a concern with that. My concern is that, you know, if they can do it, they can pull it, they can reroute that information anywhere. If they can pull it to their server, they should be able to send it to any server. So that's just.
And they're saying they'll do that temporarily going forward.
At an additional cost, I'm assuming.
He didn't say at an additional cost,
Right.
because we're still at the standstill over the fact that we did not know that we did not have the warranty on the tape deck.
Through HP or through Software Systems?
Through
Or I mean IBM.
IBM.
So it was covered, and at some point in time now it's not. We didn't release
That
it.
is correct. 6 years ago.
Right. And I would ask them to produce a signature. Yeah.
That's what I told, you know,
Show me something I've signed.
we did not tell them to
Right.
take it off.
Right.
And that's another reason I think they're really pushing for me to say,
Right.
close it
Close the
down.
ticket.
And I said, you know, you keep saying this, so
Let's get them in here.
I'm not telling them to close it down.
Right.
Okay.
So could you get the software guy and the IBM guy to come in here and talk to
I
us?
can.
Or at least call in on IBM maybe, yeah.
No, I'd rather talk to them.
I
Well-
can get Michael the software system,
I
and,
just don't know where they're at.
Is,
you know,
is he the one telling you they're not gonna cover it under warranty? Who's telling you that?
Basically, yes, he said, we do not have a warranty. I mean, we only have the one warranty number, and it's on the AS400. At some point in time, there were 2 warranty numbers, and that's what IBM keeps calling me, texting me, because they can't find it, and they can't, because it was deleted at around 6 years ago. And I said, but you don't have anything from us, because we did not know that it was not a part of the contract for the AS400. Because when the invoice came in, there was no charge for the take that,
Correct.
just the AS 400 and the other items.
We're just gonna give them a loophole. You haven't been paying for a warranty, so you don't get a warranty.
It's very possible. That's right. We gotta get
Depends on how good your lawyer is.
Right.
But our invoice included both.
This year, most recent?
No.
Okay.
It was purchased.
Right.
No, not the most recent bill, it just had the
For the whole life of it.
AS
We ain't
400.
on now. We thought you'd be in dinner.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. That being said, we did amend our agenda also concerning the discussion regarding emergency medical services salary enhancement fund that was previously on our April 3rd agenda.
Yes. In your packet I gave you all, it shows the total amount that we were allocated from the state, and the $318,181.81. 18,000 of that was going towards the crisis units. There was some misunderstanding as far as Ready Care on that process. Since our last meeting, I've talked to Ready Care, I've talked to Daniel Taylor about that, and he was unsure what they meant by crisis team. So after a brief discussion, Ready Care is willing to take the training and become a part of that team as well. And it also states on the paper that the in-state EMS crisis response training may take 12 to 18 months to implement and complete. So that would cover them as far as being part of it now. I gave you all the numbers of JanCare and ReadyCare on their total responses. What I would like to talk about now is setting up a meeting with JanCare and ReadyCare one-on-one to discuss their salaries and how we're going to distribute those and do it properly where we know it's going towards those employees.
I have no issue with that. To go ahead and just establish that next step.
Just a sit-down meeting with.
Yes, because that way we, you know, with legal and everything, and Mr. Ratliff even said that, you know, each employee had to run 10 calls per year and so on. So we need to make sure that those employees are taken care of and you know, there's no misappropriation of funds.
Yeah, I would hope that that 10-year or that 10-run rule would actually include some sort of certification.
Yes.
Yeah, that you hold some sort of, you know, applicable.
Yes.
So when we have a meeting, are you going to send them out a list of things you want, or we're going to address it in the meeting for them to bring back to us?
I think we should address it in the meeting. That way we're all on the same page.
And follow by our rules,
Yes.
which are kind of vague.
Yes. And also at that meeting, then we can ask them how they're going to develop and maintain that crisis team. Because that will give each agency $9,000 each.
Yes, I'd like to see that.
Yes.
Complete plan.
Yes.
Yep. I will get with you all and we can look at everybody's scheduling and then give JanCare ReadyCare the dates.
Our next meeting, that we're going to have a short meeting. After that, we can go down to his building and have a meeting with them.
Is that the 15th in the afternoon?
Is this?
No, it'll be first.
Be the first. Is this work session worthy?
Just reading it right now.
Okay, so yeah, we can do a work session down there.
Yeah, just plan that your office for May 1st.
May 1st in the afternoon?
Well, it don't even have to be afternoon, I'd say 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to give them an hour each or?
So they won't be together?
Right.
They'll be two different, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that cause of runs?
Yeah.
Number of units and runs
Yes.
and all that, yeah. Yeah, I found one and then just deducted it.
So I'm going to call a work session on May 1st at 10 a.m. at the Homeland Security Center. And that work session will be to include discussion on this Emergency Medical Services Salary Enhancement Fund. And we will be meeting with Jane Care and Ready Care.
You said permission to short meeting?
Yeah, we just got a meeting.
At what time?
10.
Well, this one's at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, the commission.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Okay.
And we can have some deliverables out to them that they're gonna come to the table understanding what's being asked of them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'll call them this afternoon.
Yeah.
Very good.
Now, this is not on the agenda, but can I speak with the state of emergency?
We could receive
Just an update.
Can't really discuss, right?
Yeah, just an update.
Okay.
As far as the state emergency that we were under, FEMA and the state response teams will be in the county tomorrow and Friday. We'll be doing all the assessments the next 2 days. Also, with our slippage going to the Lone Tree Tower, I am obtaining 3 quotes on that, and I think that's it. But yes.
Did you find a way in the back way? Did you ever find
Yes, we're playing phone tag right now, and he just actually called, and I told him I'd call him as soon as we were done here. So
That-
yes,
Honestly, I don't know what they did when they logged in there, but
Mhm.
that was a better access.
yes,
Really?
and
Yeah, it was
I
a
wondered.
way better route.
and Richard and them went up yesterday to take pictures so we could send insurance everything, and you know, he's actually going to try, if we get permission today, just to go up on the back side as far as how accessible the road and everything is. So dealing with Crusader has been a blessing for us, because every time we've needed them, they've been there. So yes.
And would it be, I guess, in our best interest in the long run to develop and have access and maintain 2 entrances, since there are some issues with the first one, or?
Yes, we're under negotiations now. That property is for sale.
Again?
Yes.
Mhm.
So there's 50 acres, including a house and everything is for sale, but my prime thing is getting the access road and accessibility, so,
That's 400. So
yeah.
You're,
Well,
you're talking about the other.
the bottom access on the
Beginning.
back, yes, the
Yeah, the
beginning,
beginning, the
yes.
residential.
But that's all for sale, and so we're just trying to get
It wasn't big,
legal rights to use the right of way. So,
Yeah, we need to try and make sure we can lock down a right of way
yes.
at
You
all
might
costs.
see, I don't know if Wrights gave up all their rights to that back into Jamal.
I think there's a 40-foot right-of-way back there.
There is a right of way to a certain point.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I don't know if the rest of it to get up to the top, because it's just one big road that ties in and comes back down. So if they kept that, then we could probably get that from them without any problem.
Yeah, we can.
And I'm gonna probably use the totally wrong word here, but is there something like eminent domain that exists for something like that, since we're gaining access to our
Yes.
public safety equipment?
You have the right to condemn.
Okay.
Okay.
I hate to, don't have to use that, but.
Yeah, because there is a big gate and everything there, which he's already told me that evidently before I took over, there was an issue with the former director, and that's why everything ceased for a while, and now we're on the same page, and this guy's willing to help us out and everything, so I'm working on getting the legal rights to where we can use it. So
About
yes.
partnerships, right?
Yes.
Yep.
But that's all I have. And I'll keep you all updated on the FEMA teams the next 2 days.
Okay, very good. Now, that being said, we're going to commissioners' comments.
Your center down there, where are we?
Oh,
Yes, we're still moving things in, you know, we lost.
technology-wise.
Yes, you know, as far as our offices and stuff, we lost some time last week with all the storms and everything, but hopefully after FEMA gets out of here, we'll be back on track.
Have the tower people come in?
Yeah, they will be here actually Monday to do more work. And that's another reason I'm trying to speed this process up on the accessibility to Lone Tree, so.
All right, thank you, John.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That being said, we're here to commissioners' comments. All of our known insurance liabilities have been submitted through insurance. I got Patty and got her the pictures there finally, and got the report done on that. follow up on our emergency meeting that was held 2 weeks ago, I believe. I think that's all I got for now.
The airport, I do have Tim working on bids for out there too, in your thing.
Thank you.
There's one comment that I want to make, and I want to make it very vaguely. We had an issue with a resignation from one of our departments that sparked some controversy and some Facebook stuff and things like that. But we have looked into it, and we had a meeting about it this morning. We are very well satisfied that the department is run by their own board and that they did get involved in it right away. It was investigated, and from our standpoint is we feel very comfortable that it was handled properly within their confinement and status as a board. So that's all. I don't want to mention any names, what department, but it's fixed.
Definitely like to stay on top of it best we can. We can. Do you have anything to add?
I just wanted the ramp fee. I think we had a good showing. One of the things that I wanted to say is we've had an abundance of volunteers at the ramp feed, and I think that served the city of Richwood well, and I think we could serve all the communities well with with just one service day a year for folks wherever you decide to pick. I mean, we can see a lot of things happening in the community, a lot of things happening in the county. We have a lot of needs that we unfortunately cannot finance at this point. To have paid staff and things like that. So I think if we just, as I always say, if we encourage folks, if you just donate 1 day a year, I mean, I know it doesn't seem like much, if you get a good hard day a year, an hour a month, 2 hours every other month, 2 hours a month, however you can do it. I just think it does a lot to help out and propel us forward. It takes, what they say, it takes a village, and it takes a village to run a village, literally on that aspect. So it was a good showing. It was a good, I always call it cross-county initiative and effort. A lot of smiling faces, and hopefully that propelled Richwood. Is their chamber, I think it was said?
Yes.
Yeah, propels their chamber forward for the rest of the year financially. So definitely hats off and kudos.
Have a thank you letter from the Richwood Library for our contribution towards their grant match, and appreciate that acknowledgement. Ms. Bartlett does a very good job with that library, and we appreciate what all of our libraries do in our county. And a reminder of our May 1st meeting. It will be a very brief meeting. We will not be able to meet here in the commission chamber due to early voting.
Yes.
And so more or less we're going to open, run through estates and stuff of that matter, pay our bills. We never like to skip paying our bills around here, and that's more or less it. And so
One of those commissions that came.
yeah, we like to pay our bills, and we're fortunate that we can. Now, have we decided on a location for that yet? What kind of recording capacity? We could do
Definitely register to vote and vote.
So
23rd.
That meeting will be held here at the courthouse, and it will be posted on the agenda where it will be located if anyone's interested to attend. But again, it will not be here in the commission meeting room to make room for early voting. And as Commissioner Roberts alluded to, the last day to register to vote or switch your affiliation or all that good stuff is April 23rd. So that's coming up next week. So keep that in mind and make sure that your registration is as good if you want to partake in the upcoming elections. All good?
Good.
All in?
Motion.
We have a motion on the floor to adjourn this regularly scheduled meeting of the Nicholas County Commission. Today is Wednesday, April 17th, 2024, and it is 12:14 p.m. Oh yeah, all those in favor? You already made a motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We do stand adjourned.
Wasn't expecting that one.
Everybody wake up.
That was a good one.